Welcome back to another episode of the Calcio Show. I'm Alfredo, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host Luca. How
Hello,
are
guys.
we doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you, man? Big win yesterday.
Absolutely fantastic after that win. Obviously, today we're going to be discussing and reacting to Italy's 5-0 win over Estonia last night, Gattuso's first game in charge. So, Luca, tell me first thoughts on that game last night.
Very happy, man. Very, very happy. I thought it would be a cagey game. I didn't really expect the 5-0, especially after the first half. I thought if we were to win it, we'd maybe nick it at 1-0 or 2-1 potentially. But I'm very happy. You can't complain. Look, with Gattuso, I was a little bit on the fence with the appointment. I thought he could be a good coach. I thought he'd give a very strong start in terms of the performances, boosting morale, getting the best out of the players, getting them motivated. Because if you look at Gattuso, he's a motivator. He's a guy that's been there. He's won big trophies, whether that be the World Cup, whether that be with the Champions League with AC Milan, captain. So I thought, look, quick turnaround, the boys will be on it, but they surpassed my expectations.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think many Italy fans would have been expecting a 5-0 win. I think the last time we won 5-0 was against Lithuania about 3 or 4 years ago. It's not something that Italy tend to do, win by big margins in these qualifying games, even if it's Moldova, Estonia, these kind of teams. First half I thought was okay. I thought we looked like we were moving the ball a bit better than we were under Spalletti. I think most importantly, the players looked a bit more, number one, up for it, as to be expected under Gattuso, but they looked like they knew their roles a bit better. I couldn't help but feel under Spalletti that I was watching those players on the pitch and they looked like they didn't know what they were doing.
It also looked like they weren't even playing for him at the end.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was just like a dismantled team.
Yeah. No one... and I got the impression by the end of Spalletti's tenure that the players thought he was an idiot. I thought the players were like, what is he talking about? I mean, I used to think, was watching some of his like post-match reactions in his interviews, he's so like kind of he philosophizes
he's
over
like a
everything.
professor,
He is.
like Aristotle or something. Win some games.
Yeah, literally. Everything's so methodical and like, oh, if you think about it in this way, then therefore this could happen. And I think the players got to the end and were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about?
Some people say that JFTV had better post-match reactions than Spalletti. That's what people say.
It's not ridiculous to say that. It's not ridiculous to say that. But yeah, I think most importantly, I think the players looked absolutely up for it. And what I was really impressed by, despite kind of at half time, I was a bit like, is it just going to be like this again? You know, are we going to struggle to break teams down? Are we going to struggle to create chances? But what was most impressive is that even after the first goal and the second goal, they just kept going. They knew the importance of the goal difference, and that was really refreshing to see.
Yeah, because it's key. I think we're now -7, I believe, on Norway, so it's
Seven
still
behind
a
Norway,
big gap. But I was thinking at one point maybe 6 or 7 we could have scored literally last night, and it would have been a lot more useful. But still, I mean, we're climbing now in terms of goal difference, in terms of points.
Well, who were your standout performers last night?
For me, I want to give a big shout out to Calafiori. And I'm not just saying from yesterday's performance. I think he's been absolutely incredible this whole season with Arsenal. Under Arteta, he's played in that left-back role. Yesterday? I'm tripping, boys. He was playing in that left-back role with Arteta, which we hadn't seen in a while, I would say. Where Calafiori, for me, really flourished was in that left centre-half role in a back three at Bologna for the national team in Euros 2024. And yesterday, he was a left-sided centre-half, which I thought he looked really comfortable. I thought he looked really, really good. And I think this is going to be a huge season for Calafiori. I was a little bit sceptical with whether he'd get minutes this season with Arsenal because, let's be real, Gabriel and Saliba are just too strong. He can't really get into that back two. It's the best, for me, partnership in the world right now. Left back, Skelly looked really, really sharp last season. So I was like, he'll be fighting for that place, but will he get in? But Arteta's opted for him so far. And I do feel a bit for Skelly because he's struggling to get into the team, and I think he's a top player. But Calafiori hasn't put a foot wrong, and I think he's going to be so key, not only for the national team to try and qualify next year, I just think he's going to be so key in Arsenal's season. So I think Calafiori's been incredible, and I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the season he's in the Premier League team of the season potentially. I think he's quality.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been nominated for Premier League Player of the Month, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And what better way to repay Arteta's faith in him than to, he scored in the first game week and he got 2 assists the next week. And again, last night, like you said, he was fantastic. And I think what's really impressive about Calafiori is like wherever you play him, whether it's in the centre half role like he was last night, or left back for Arsenal, or in a back three like he was for Bologna, his kind of like redeeming qualities always shine through. Like he just wants the ball, and he wants to drive with the ball, and he wants to create in the final third, which he did yesterday a couple of times. And it's a really great asset to have a centre back or a left back who can drive and create space in the
very
final
underrated
third.
asset.
Like I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Can't complain, man. Like you said, he's such a brave footballer. He always wants to be on the ball. He's so creative for a fullback. It's pretty insane, really. Like his output as well, every single season is really good. Like you said, scored in the opening Premier League game against Man United, Old Trafford, big moment. Scored at the Etihad last season as well. Like he comes up big in the key moments.
And he has guile. He has, like you said, he's got personality, which I think, like, for Italy, especially like this point in time where we don't have a huge amount of world-class footballers. I'm not saying Calafiori is world-class yet, but we don't have a lot of players who have that kind of personality that, give me the ball, I'll do it then.
Yeah.
And that's why I love watching Calafiori play. But aside from him, I think two other standouts were the two forwards, Keane and Retegui, who both had fantastic games. What did you think?
I thought they bounced off each other really well. I really, really like the duo. I think in terms of going forward, I think if Spalletti plays a two-man attack, that has to be the front two. Whether that be a 4-4-2 system. I'm so used to Spalletti. I still need to get back into the hang of it, boys. Gattuso, sorry. Spalletti, with Spalletti, you had no idea what he was going to play. Probably El Shaarawy up front. No, Gattuso. If going forward, I think Gattuso, that would be his two-man attack. But it'd be interesting to see potentially over the next few match weeks if he changes maybe to a 4-2-3-1, Raspadori a little bit deeper, because I thought Raspadori came on and was really good as well. So, but these are the sort of competition you want. You want to have these sort of tough questions to answer before a game. Whether to play a Raspadori, depending on the opposition. Whether to play a two-man attack, a physical two-man attack in Moise Kean and Retegui. I think Retegui took both his goals really, really well. I do think the Moise Kean goal was a little bit fortunate. I'm not too sure if Calafiori meant the little over-the-top deflection. You know what I'm talking about? It kind of came off his boot.
No, that was Retegui.
Was that Retegui?
Retegui, the little back heel flick.
Was that Retegui? Oh, I thought it was Calafiori.
He meant 100%.
You think he meant that?
Yeah,
I don't know, man. You think Maradona?
Totti-esque.
Yeah, but still, if he meant it, you know what, Retegui, on for the Ballon d'Or this season. But no, I thought they were really good together, and I think going forward, that looks like the most likely attacking force. But I'm a bit upset that Retegui left the Serie A, to be honest. I feel like he's too good a player right now to be playing in the Saudi League, man. Like, Serie A top scorer last season. Obviously, I understand Atalanta got big money. He's on a massive wage, but I feel like he's good. He's too good to be there for me. I'm not I don't think he's world class by any stretch of imagination, but I think he's a good striker, and I think he developed so much under Gasperini last season, and it's a bit of a shame that he's already gone to Saudi. But I think Moise Kean started pretty slowly actually this season with Fiorentina, but hopefully kicks on from here and carries on that great form we saw last season.
Yeah, I mean, touching upon Retegui there again, like I would never blame any player for going to Saudi, because I think, you know, if you were in that position and someone comes up to you and says, "Yeah, I'm going to offer you to do the same job for 10 times the amount of money,"
it's hard to say
how many people in whatever walk of life are going to say no? But like you said, it is disappointing not to see him because he's a talented footballer. I mean, the first goal he took, I thought was brilliant. It was almost like Harry Kane-esque, like the way he just got it out of his feet quickly and hit it so early. And what was interesting is I don't know if it was deliberate from Gattuso, but I think playing against a weaker opposition like Estonia, to have Keane and Retegui up front, who in different ways are just such handfuls for defenders. Retegui in a more kind of classic physical sense, because he's big and he's bundling and he gets himself about. He's always in the right position at the right time. And Keane in a kind of more direct way. I mean, how many times yesterday did we play a long ball over?
Chasing long balls.
Keane was like 5 yards behind it, but he'd end up in front of the defender between the ball, holding it up and playing it away, almost like Lukaku used to do, like back in the day.
Yeah, he's a ridiculous athlete.
Yeah,
he's like the definition of that.
Absolutely, and I think it was really interesting that Gattuso against Estonia, who were going to play a low block. I think Gattuso knew that Estonia were going to play like that last night. They were going to sit deep, be tight, and they managed to do so for 50, 60 minutes. But I really think it was a good idea playing those two defenders to just cause havoc, because they did, even in the first half. I mean, there was no clear-cut chances, but there was half chances. Retegui had that header at the end. Keane had that kind of half volley that he snatched at. But yeah, ultimately it was really encouraging to see them both get on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, I think Gattuso motivated them so much before the game. Like, he brought so much dynamism, so much urgency, so much, like you said, chasing loose balls, chasing things that aren't even on. It's like, I don't know, that sense of the Azzuriness almost is back, that ambience that we were so used to growing up. I feel like with Gattuso, if anyone can bring it back, Gattuso is the coach to do so. So positive, very, very positive start. Hopefully we can carry on this form into Monday's game, but we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. I mean, who were you disappointed by last night then? So we've said obviously Calafiori, Keane, Retegui all had really good games. Who did you actually? Before we go on to who disappointed us, I also want to say Cambiaso when he came on, I thought looked brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought he looked dangerous. He looked quick. Again, he's got balls. He's got personality. He'll get the ball and he'll look at his man and he'll say, "I want to beat you. I want to go left. I want to go right," and he'll try and get across and make something happen. And I thought he looked really exciting when he came on.
Well, that's who I was going to say. I was going to say Di Marco, for me, in a fullback, I'm not a fan of it. I think Di Marco is a great wing-back, but I just don't think he has the defensive qualities to be able to be as reliable as an Andrea Cambiaso. I look at Andrea Cambiaso, and guys that have seen my content know how much I rate him. I love the guy. He's incredible to me. I have him as a top 2 human being in the world right now behind myself. But the thing is... with Cambiaso, you got to play him in a fullback. For me, like even last Euros, I was like, he didn't get enough game time. I look at Di Marco in the big games, especially like Champions League final, bro. He was horrible. Yeah, like in the big moments. I don't think...
He stunk.
I do think he's a bit overrated, Di Marco. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but I just don't think he's as good as people sort of make him out to be and prepare him to be. Whereas I think Cambiaso is very, very underrated. I think he has more qualities than Di Marco. I think he's braver, as you said. He wants to be on the ball more. He's more creative. He doesn't have a better shot, I would say. But he can invert. He can play in the midfield. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's very versatile. He can play on either flank. 5-back system, 4-back system. I think Cambiaso should be starting in this team personally. And then in terms of like... I was very happy with the performance overall yesterday. I don't think there was like one player that was like, "Oh, you were horrible." Like, no. But I do think where we lack quality is out wide. And I'm sure we'll talk about someone who got left out, who potentially should be in this squad. But I just look at Politano. I think Politano is underrated, and I think he's a good player. Got an assist yesterday, and Zaccagni. But I'm like, they're not world beaters. They're not game changers for me. I think that's where we lack the most quality out wide. And I would say that's our weakest outlook.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I thought Zaccagni was poor yesterday. I think, again, we talk about, I say the word guile, personality, which I think is so important for your wingers to have. Your wingers almost need to be a bit arrogant and get the ball and say, "I'm going to beat you. I'm going to create
that's what you
something."
want from a winger.
Whereas I feel like Zaccagni and Politano, Orsolini, when he came on, were just a bit sheepish. They were getting the ball and they were kind of...
it's almost like they were scared to make a mistake. Exactly. That's the problem. You want brave wingers.
And I think it's just an area of our team that we just lack. I think there's a lack of quality, there's a lack of depth, which leads me into my next question. So we talk about Italy's wing backs currently. You have Di Marco, Udogi, Cambiaso, Dilo. We've actually got quite a big depth, and I would argue that would Italy be better playing a 5 at the back and concentrating your wide attacks on a Cambiaso and a Di Marco, who are both fantastic going forward. Di Marco obviously has his defensive capabilities, and I know you mentioned that he's overrated, but he's still going forward. He's fantastic for like his dead balls, his passing, his vision. Cambiaso has a bit more of a direct approach, can beat his man. Is a 3-5-2 more suited to Italy? And concentrating your attacks, because I would argue that going forward, Di Marco and Cambiaso are more dangerous than Orsolini, Politano,
100%.
Zaccagni.
100%. I agree with you. I think looking at the squad right now, I don't think we have enough quality to be able to play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. And a 3-5-2, I think, suits every player, perfectly. You got a double pivot of Tonali and Barella, who we know is going to be the double pivot every single game, as long as it's like a friendly or someone's injured, whatever. Then you have Cambiaso on the right, Di Marco on the left, who I would say, well, obviously Di Marco is a natural wing back. Cambiaso can play either as good, but I think he's more suited offensively as well, give him more responsibility in the final third. Even last season, people forget, like, up until Christmas, Cambiaso had the most dangerous chances created for Juventus. There was a point where he was the most creative outlet Juventus had. Like, he's ridiculous going forward. As you said, he's quality. And I look at the defence, back three, Bastoni, Calafiori. You got so many players. Calvini, you got Buongiorno. You got so many options. And then obviously the two-man attack of Keane, Retegui, or maybe you could play Raspadori a little bit deeper. You have so many different options. So I think a 3-5-2 in terms of the quality of right now makes more sense. If we track back to Euros 2021 when we played a 4-3-3 and it was so effective, you had to play a three-man midfield. You had Jorginho at the base, Barella's the box-to-box, Verratti is the creative outlet. It suited the team perfectly. Then you had two very good wide options in Insigne and Chiesa, who Insigne, of course, we don't have anymore. Chiesa, we do. Not the same Chiesa. But then if you were to bring Chiesa back into the equation, he wouldn't suit a 3-5-2, of course. But would you risk changing a system just for one footballer? You could play a 3-4-3, one of the strikers out wide, but I don't think that will suit us perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and as well, like, even though I thought we moved the ball around quite well yesterday, a lot of our goals came from being direct also. And you know, I have no problem with playing with what you have. And like you said, I think at the moment the team and the squad and the players in the national pool suit a 3-5-2. Whether Gattuso will play that is another question. But we don't have wingers. We don't have wingers who can change games or should arguably be playing at an international level. Whereas even you look at the forwards, the forwards look better now. You know, Retegui, Keane, Scamacca obviously got injured.
Yeah,
even Pio came on yesterday, which was nice to see.
Debut,
who Inter fans absolutely rave about.
But he was quality last season in Serie A as well.
For Spezia, he was insane.
Even Salvatore Esposito was great as well.
Yeah.
I think I'm so surprised no one snatched him up this summer. He was a player that I really wanted Juventus to sign, and my dad was a big fan of him. He was raving on the whole season about this midfielder. I think those brothers are quality.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 of them, isn't there? But it looks like Pio is going to be the one who, well, from what I've seen and also what I've heard from Inter fans, is going to be the one who really kind of takes it to the next level. So, yeah, I actually think we're looking, in terms of number 9s at the moment, I think we look okay. So, really, should Italy be playing a system that suits that? I don't know. I thought the 2 lads up front yesterday were really good. And... yeah, Raspadori, we didn't speak about him when he came on. Really good little cameo, 25-minute cameo. Came on within 2 minutes, a goal and an assist, and actually becomes Italy's top goal scorer over the last 2 years with 8 goals. And more importantly, Raspadori now has more goals for Italy than who?
That is a good question.
Francesco Totti. Raspadori has more goals for Italy than Totti.
That's mental.
That's a mad sentence.
That is a crazy stat. That's a fun fact. How many goals? Like one more? Is it?
I think he made it one more last night. Lovely finish as well.
That is crazy. That one, I did not know that at all.
Yeah.
That surprised me, man.
But Raspadori's record for Italy is absolutely fantastic. I can't remember exactly his goal to game ratio. I'll pull it up now. So he has he's played 41 appearances for Italy, obviously most of those sub-appearances, and he's got 10 goals. And 10 goals doesn't sound like a lot.
But for international stage, that is a good return considering he doesn't start a lot of games too.
Exactly, international stage, and also remembering that Italy's highest ever goal scorer is 35 goals with Gigi Riva. Italy don't have players who score a lot internationally. It's just the way it's always been. But yeah, I thought he looked really sharp when he came on. I do like Raspa. I'm not sure Atletico Madrid is the move for him. He hasn't played a lot since he started, although it's only been 3 games. But I've always been a fan of him. I think he comes on, he works extremely hard. I like him when he's playing off a big man as well. I think his link-up play around the box, and he's a great finisher. Yeah,
very ruthless, very ruthless. Really
finisher. Good, and he gets himself in positions, and he scores important goals. He scored some really important goals for Napoli. Obviously,
against us, unfortunately.
I was there that day. But yeah, I thought he looked really, really exciting when he came on as well. Again, we have to preface this: it was Estonia. They were 127th ranked in the world. They are not. They are not a world beater.
But the thing is, we struggle.
Yeah,
against everyone,
exactly,
and anyone. So we take what we can get at the minute.
But yeah, importantly, the goal difference has come down. It's still 7. It's still a lot, but Italy do have a game in hand over Norway. So by the time Italy play Norway, if that goal difference can be even if it's 3. If we beat Norway 2-0, top of the group. Yeah. If it can be 1, that's great. So yeah, I think that's the aim moving forward, isn't it? Just win and try and win.
100%. All you have to do is win, and then hope that Norway slip up along the way as well.
Yeah,
that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. But we'll see. I think you have to assume in this case that Norway will win all their games, a bit like Switzerland did. Before the last World Cup, because Switzerland just kept up with us and had a better goal difference, and Jorginho's penalties.
At the end of the day, penalties screwed us, but
then
hopefully this time it doesn't.
Yeah, it's football though, isn't it? Penalties screwed us that time, but then 2 years before, 2 penalty shootouts in the semi-final and final. You know,
exactly went our way that time, even in 2006. So
exactly,
can't complain.
So let's talk about a man that you alluded to earlier,
Okay.
Mr. Federico Chiesa, who was left out of the squad. He did have a conversation with Gattuso, and Chiesa said to him, look, I'm probably not physically ready. He had an injury coming into the season, and they agreed that he wouldn't come into the squad. And notably, he was omitted from Liverpool's Champions League squad in the week just gone. What are your initial reactions to that?
Honestly, I feel really sorry for Chiesa. I think it was really harsh, the decision by Arne Slot to leave him out of the Champions League squad, and I feel like a lot of Liverpool fans also found it very, very tough. Realistically, if Chiesa was to be included in the Champions League squad, the two most likely candidates to be removed would have been Endo and Rio and Gamoa. And I think you've got to really compare it position for position, so there's no point saying, Endo should have been dropped and having Rio and Federico in the starting 11. Well, not the first, sorry, the squad, the call-up squad. I look at the situation with Rio and Gamoa, and I think he has bags of quality, but he's just turned 18. He doesn't have the longevity that Chiesa has. He hasn't been at the top level of European football like Chiesa has. He hasn't made the difference like Chiesa has yet. Of course, he hasn't played for, I don't know, Chiesa's been a starter at a high level for the past 8-9 years now. Fiorentina, Juventus, Liverpool. And then you look at what he did for the national team as well. I think it's really, if I was Chiesa, I'd feel really hard done by. I understand that Ngomoa came on against Newcastle, scored a really, really good goal. But still, Federico came on in the first game against Bournemouth and won the game for Liverpool as well. So I think they've both had moments. But I look at the situation, I think he should have gotten out of there in the summer. I just don't think Liverpool is the right club for Chiesa right now. Yes, Liverpool are a top club, no denying it. Yes, Liverpool will probably fight for the treble this season. You look at the team they have. On paper, they're easily one of the best teams in the world. And for me, they will win the Premier League pretty comfortably, I reckon. They've added Isak to the attack as well, who is versatile. He's not a direct comparison to Chiesa, but that's just more firepower in the attack and less chance of Chiesa being able to come off the bench or even remotely start. If Chiesa's starting, he'll start in the cup games, if he's lucky, every 2-3 months. I looked at the situation, I said, A, last year, Liverpool was the wrong team for him to sign for. B, he should have gotten out there in the summer, not only to save his career, but revitalise his national team career, actually start, get a string of games, which will keep him in better form. Come to Italy again. I think Italy suits him perfectly. I'm not saying he should have come back to Juventus. I think we have a lot of good options. But maybe a Napoli with Conte, revitalise it there. Maybe go to AC Milan with Allegri. I know him and Allegri maybe didn't see eye to eye, but him and Leao could be a very dangerous winger combination. So I just think Chiesa's made a mistake. If I was him and his agent, I would try and force a move in January. Even if it was a loan spell, to be honest. I think Liverpool would have been down for a loan if a team covered the wages. So I don't know. For me, it's just like, he's almost made his own bed and now he has to lay in it. I think this is Chiesa and his agent's fault for even being in this situation right now, personally.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. I think you've hit the nail on the head. If it wasn't clear to Chiesa last year that he wasn't in Slot's plans and Slot didn't really rate him, I don't know what he thought was going to change this year.
Yeah.
Knowing that they were bringing in Ekatike, knowing that they were bringing in Isak.
And Gamoa coming to the first team.
And I kind of see this in two ways. I see it the way that you've just said, in the sense of it's completely his fault and he should have known to get out of there if he wants to. He's 28 next month. Like he's not young anymore.
That's crazy, man. Time's flown by.
He's not young anymore, and if he has any chance of getting his career back on track, he has to go somewhere and play football regularly, and he needs to get fit again. And he's still more than capable of playing in a European level team in the Champions League or Europa League. But if we're being completely honest, he's not good enough to start for Liverpool.
Oh, no.
At this
no
moment
way,
in time.
no way.
But on the other hand, I see Chiesa as a very resilient player. You know, he works his nuts off whenever he plays. And there's probably a part of Chiesa, a part of his ego that thinks, I can get back into this team.
Which I respect. I respect the confidence.
Yeah,
and I respect
absolutely.
that he wants to fight for his place. But from a logical point of view, as you said, it's just not likely.
It's not. And there's also another part, which is like he's on $6 million a year.
Yeah, I mean,
playing for the best team in the world.
He's going to win trophies.
Going to win a Premier League title. Might win a Champions League title. Well, if
he won a Premier League title last year.
Exactly.
Second Italian to ever do so in the history. Fair play to him. But
scored in the cup final as well.
Scored in the Carabao Cup final. But at the end of the day, he didn't play a major part in that. It's sort of like, I don't know, bro. If I signed for Juventus on a 1-year deal in the 9-year period and collected my medal, just like flaming on everyone.
But it's true. But yeah, I don't know. I think as well, if you ever want to see Chiesa back in the national team, he has to be playing regularly. As good as he is, Yeah, it is what it is. And Chiesa obviously left out the Champions League squad, and this week we also had Donnarumma going to Man City on a transfer. What are your initial thoughts? Good move, bad move?
It's a hard one because I think Enrique made a massive error getting rid of Donnarumma. I don't really know, I feel like we'll never know the exact reason for the logic behind Enrique's decision. You look at Donnarumma last season, that's his best season for me in his career so far. I mean, he was by far and away for me the best keeper in the world. He single-handedly, I don't think it's crazy to say, he single-handedly kept PSG in the Champions League on numerous occasions, bro. Big saves, Liverpool, Villa, he came in so clutch. I think, genuinely, I was having this debate with my friend the other day. Let's just say, hypothetically, a Euros or a World Cup happened this year and Italy won either of them. I think Donnarumma would have been the front runner for the Ballon d'Or. If that happened. That's how good he was.
Absolutely could have been.
He's incredible. And I'm looking at the situation, I'm like, I don't really understand why they'd get rid of him. He had 1 year left on his deal. It was like, surely you would just lose him next year, or you would try and renegotiate, potentially get him to sign and sell him for more money next summer. I don't really understand it, but I think him coming to the Premier League, I'm very excited to see how he can do in the Prem. I think he's going to be able to translate his game really well to the league. The only question is, Pep, for me, is quite stubborn in the way that he plays. Pep isn't very open to change. Donnarumma isn't the best with his feet. He's not the most technically gifted keeper. He's not like an Edison. But when it comes to shot stopping, which for me personally is the most important attribute a goalkeeper can have, bro.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah. Only Pep thinks, no, I need a player with feet like Iniesta and goal.
But it's not just Pep, it's everyone now.
Because they copied him.
Oh, he needs to be able to play with his feet. But people, pundits, in the media, content creators, he needs to be able to play with his feet.
It's
a
all
goalkeeper.
It's a myth. It's a myth.
Save goals.
Literally, bro. It's all a myth. It's a myth created by Pep, who is an incredible manager. He had a lot of success doing it. I'm not saying anything. But it's all these other teams, like you said, that are trying to just copy the way he plays. Even like non-league teams playing out from the back. Like, for me, a great manager, John Terry said this in a podcast the other day, a great manager needs to know their players' strengths. John Terry was a player. I think he was really underrated in the sense that John Terry had really good feet. He was a technically gifted centre-half. But even he knew sometimes you can't always play out from the back. So you would tell Czech, go long, or I would go long. For me, I'm looking at the City team now. I think a lot of teams have been able to read Pep's system and be able to beat them. They don't have the same players that they had 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. I don't think the quality is as good. And now Pep is in a rebuild phase, which I think he'll struggle in. I've never really seen Pep under this much pressure. Yep. I almost think he's burnt out. I don't think Pep will be able to win the league for City again. I think it's time for Pep to leave, maybe go to the national team, go to a different league, take a break like Klopp did. But I think Donnarumma right now is coming into the end of Pep's reign at City. So I think whoever will take over after, he might potentially suit. It might be a better system for him. But look, I really hope that with this signing, it sort of is like Pep is more open to change. And I think Donnarumma will be able to translate his game to this new City team, because I think Pep will have to adapt. He knows this himself. Like, teams have read the game well. Teams know how to break him down. So I think I'm hoping Donnarumma can do well, but I think he will.
Yeah, no, I think so. And like you just said, I think Man City now, in my opinion, are as vulnerable defensively as I've seen
100%.
them. As I've seen them. So why, at the time when you're most vulnerable defensively, why would you not go and get the best shot stopper in the world? Why would you not? Like, Donnarumma is a goalkeeper, as we saw last year, as we saw at the Euros, as we have seen throughout his career. He is a goalkeeper that can win you games because he can make incredible saves.
Yeah, he's a definition of a world-class keeper.
Literally.
I think when it comes to keepers, it's harder to define world-class, but he is, like, on paper, 1,000,000% that.
Absolutely. And like I said, Man City are so vulnerable defensively. They concede so many chances at the moment. Get a goalkeeper who can be the difference between conceding 0 and conceding 1, or conceding 1 and conceding 2.
100%.
I also think the thing with Donnarumma's feet, I personally think is the most hyperbolized thing in world football. It's the most exaggerated thing in world football. Lest we forget, right? Donnarumma played under Mancini for Italy, who, by the way, that Italy team went on the longest international run of any international team ever, by the way. And he played out of the back all the time.
Yeah.
He's also played the last 2 seasons under Luis Enrique for PSG, winning the Champions League, may I add, playing out of the back in every single phase. I genuinely think it's the most exaggerated thing that people talk about Donnarumma's feet, right? Like he's a Sunday league footballer.
Yeah.
It really is insane.
It is disrespectful.
It's
disrespectful.
Absolutely insane. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as people trying to make out. But yeah, for him, I can only see it as a good move. You know, he's going to a big club. He's going to be playing the Champions League again. And ultimately, Pep wanted him. Pep's not a stupid man. He's one of the most intelligent football brains in the world. If he really thought Donnarumma couldn't play with his feet at all, he wouldn't have signed him.
That's true.
And
Pep,
he did.
Yeah, Pep is like very strict in his ways. He's very like when he wants something, he's 100% sure on it. He doesn't make mistakes. Well, he rarely makes mistakes. Everyone, of course, every coach can mess up on players and signings, but he rarely makes mistakes. He's very fixated on certain views in terms of different positions. So, like you said, man, if he wants Donnarumma, there's a reason behind it.
Exactly. So I hope he does well this season and shuts a lot of people up. Okay. Oh, I actually wanted to bring this up.
Okay.
So we posted a video last night from our pod last week and talking about Italy's lack of world-class players over the last 15 years.
Yes.
We mentioned that people were bringing up Immobile. I vehemently denied that Immobile was ever world-class. He might have had a world-class season.
On paper.
And played at a world-class level. But Immobile was never a world-class striker, whereas our comments were flooded last night of people saying Immobile was a world-class striker. Tell me, what are you saying?
Do you know why? They look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Stats are deceiving sometimes. I look at Immobile and I think he was very consistent for Lazio. I'm looking at his Lazio period, really. I know Dortmund, whatever, played in Turkey. Now he's back in the league. But I'm looking specifically at Lazio time. He was consistent with his numbers. I'll give him that. He put up good numbers. There was time where he was a European Golden Boot winner, but again, very misleading. That's the most penalties ever given out in a Serie A season because there was so much confusion on the handball rule. Yep. I think he scored like 15 or 16 pens that season. Someone needs to even Ronaldo scored a lot that year, but like there was just a ridiculous amount of penalties given that year in the Serie A, unlike other leagues where he topped Lewandowski. That's what I'm saying. Stats are deceiving. Immobile didn't turn up in the big games. He wasn't a versatile striker. I didn't think he had great feet. I didn't think he was the most clinical finisher in the world. His hold-up play wasn't good. He was never the best in the world at any attribute. For me, when you look at world-class strikers, you look at Haaland, his movement is ridiculous. Pace, power, intelligence in the box. You look at Luis Suarez, his playmaking ability, his ruthlessness in the box. He's a versatile finisher. You look at Lewandowski, again, just a ruthless finisher, great in the air, great at dead balls. Like, I don't think Immobile was ever the best in the world at one single category. He was decent at a few, and his numbers were consistent. I'll give him that. But, bro, like, Immobile just suited the Serie A perfectly as well. He was a Serie A player. If he went to the Premier League, he would have never, at any point in his career, got more than 10 league goals. And I'm pretty certain on that. Like, how can you look at this is another thing. Immobile played in a generation with the likes of Suarez, Benzema, Ibrahimovic, Lewandowski, Aguero, like Higuain, Icardi in the league. Like, these guys were all better than Immobile. He was never in the debate of best striker in the world. Not at one point in his career. Even the 1920 season, the stats were deceiving. No one that actually watched the game and Immobile consistently. Yeah, this guy's it. And another thing, can you name me 5 goals Immobile scored in his career? Like, off the top of your head, seriously, unless you're a Lazio fan. I can name 2 that he scored in the group stage of Euros 2021. I can't name a single other goal he scored. It's true, bro. You would just see on like Twitter or every now and again, you'd be like, oh, Immobile scored. Like, nobody can name Immobile goals. And this isn't me being disrespectful because he's a professional footballer at the end of the day. He scored a good amount of goals in the league. Fair play to him. I think I never really liked him that much, but on paper, he's a good striker. But I don't think world class is like, I don't think people really realise the definition of world class and how elite you have to be to be in that conversation. So for me, he's not even there.
I think when we talk about this definition of world class, you really have to be the top of the top of the top. And how can you be in that bracket when you're not doing it in the Champions League at the highest level of football and also not doing it for your national team? Because anytime Immobile played for Italy, he flattered to deceive.
Yeah.
90% of the time he played for Italy, you would not know that Immobile was playing. My nonna could have been playing up front and you wouldn't have known the difference.
Bro, I'm pretty sure it's just because of that FIFA. I swear to God, this guy had an 87 rated FIFA card every year and everyone's like, this guy's one of the best in the world. Honestly, I'm certain it's FIFA tax too.
But let's not kind of like disparage him, and because his goal record playing in Italy was absolutely outstanding, and I will absolutely give him that every day of the week. However, world class Immobile was not. You cannot be world class if you're not doing it at the highest level of football against the top teams and also for your national team. It's just not. It's not right. Immobile was not world class.
No chance, bro. Like, come on. Like, everyone needs to just be serious for 2.5 seconds. Like, Immobile, let's get out of it.
So I'm not sure. Everyone watching probably knows you're a Juventus fan. I'm a Juventus fan.
Of course.
I wanted to bring up Dusan Vlahovic, who's had a bit of a hot start to the season.
Yes.
I know this isn't Italy related, but I wanted to talk about it. His celebration last week.
Yep.
Right. You talk me through that celebration and kind of what that was and what he was doing.
The aura of farming. No, do you know what it is about that celebration? Yeah. I remember watching that game against Genoa, and Genoa's not an easy place to go by any stretch of imagination. Every time we go there, it's always like a tough game for us. Like it's not a walk in the park.
Never.
Of course not. And Vlahovic has a very good record against Genoa. He scored 3 goals against them last season. He basically won us both games against Genoa last year. So when he was coming off the bench, I was like, if anyone's going to score, it's going to be Vlahovic. And I didn't care how we scored. Because at the end of the day, to win a league title, whether you play good or bad, it doesn't matter. You just need the 3 points, all right? And the goal, for me, he took his header really, really well. I thought it's not an easy finish. His movement in the box to get away from the defender was good as well. The celebration was almost like him saying, no talking off the pitch, more talking on the pitch, which I respect. For me, players that get their head down, work hard, make the difference, at the end of the day, it shuts fans up. Whether you like Vlahovic, whether you don't like Vlahovic, whether you rate him as a player, whether you don't rate him as a player, whether you would have sold him or not, extended his contract or not, he scored us 2 goals in 2 games, helped us win 2 matches. So far, I can't complain. I'm a Juventus fan. I just want us to win, regardless of who scores. I couldn't care less, as long as we get the 3 points. And he's helped us to do that. So for me, the celebration was sort of like him saying, I'm here, no talking off the pitch, more talking on the pitch. We'll see what happens. And I'm actually pretty convinced now in saying this. I think Vlahovic will extend his contract at Juventus. I don't think he'll leave on a free next season. I think we'll work out a resolution. I think he'll extend on less money, which is another thing that I think plays into this fact. I think he is the highest paid player in Serie A, and I actually believe that no player in Serie A should be on that money. I don't think there's a good enough player in the league at this minute to be on the money that Vlahovic is on. But I would personally renew him for less money, genuinely. And I think Vlahovic, at the end of the day, it's been 2 games. We'll see if he can be this consistent throughout the whole season. But bro, I'm sure he doesn't care. As long as if he comes off the bench and he makes a difference, scores, it helps him, it helps the club. Everyone's happy. So I think right now that was just a message to everyone saying, I'm here, I'm focused. That's the way I perceived it. But how did you see it?
Well, it wasn't. I wasn't really going to speak about how I saw it. I was going to ask you about how Antonio Cassano saw it.
Okay.
Because after he scored the goal against Genoa and celebrated in a manner that was, however you want to take it, Cassano came out and said, the way Vlahovic is behaving since he has taken a truckload of money over 3 years since he's been shit. Now he scored two goals and celebrates with open arms, thinking that he's the king. But he just continues to take money from Juve. Juve should sell him. Juve should tell him, so what? You've scored 2 goals. You want to stay here until June? You can stay at home. They've given him more than he's given them. Thoughts?
First of all, I don't think Vlahovic has been, in his words, shit over the last... Well, he signed in January 2022, so 3.5 years. I don't think he's been that at all. I think his record at Juventus has actually been pretty decent, and he's had his moments.
It has been decent.
If it wasn't for Vlahovic, we wouldn't have won the Coppa Italia, which was the only trophy we've won, by the way, since he joined the club. So at the end of the day, Vlahovic has showed heart, he's shown design. I still remember one post after we lost to Inter in his debut season in the Coppa Italia final. He said, I will, if I have to go to hell and back to bring you to the heights, something along those lines, I will do it. And 2 years later, he delivered. So for me, Vlahovic's return at Juventus has been good. It's not been like Cristiano Ronaldo, but only I think the people that expected him to have the numbers of Ronaldo really don't understand much about football. He's obviously not as good a player. He's not as prolific as Ronaldo. That goes without saying. I expected these sort of numbers, but I just expected a bit more consistency, I would say.
A bit more.
That's what I'm saying. We spent a lot of money on him. He's on a big wage, so I do understand if people feel a little bit underwhelmed, but I don't think he's been poor by any stretch of imagination. If you said he's been decent or good, not elite, I would say that's fair enough. That's a fair enough judgment, but I think he's very harsh there. And I think, bro, at the end of the day, he scored 2 goals in 2 games. Why would you use that as a way to discredit him? If he's come on and absolutely been poor, been horrible, showed no heart, and you start talking in the way that Cassano's been talking, I'd be like, okay, it's harsh regardless, but fair enough, that's your prerogative. But I think it's completely unjust. Whether you rate him or not, whether you like him or not, I think at the end of the day, you just have to look at what he's done so far this season, okay? And the whole contract situation is a bit of a pain, to be honest. For me in football nowadays, players and agents have way too much power and way too much control, which I think is just a bit flawed in general. But I think Cassano's words were very, very harsh. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think I mean, Cassano's certainly not one to mince his words or say things for the cameras or say things and be sensationalist about things. But yeah, I think it is. I get his sentiment, right? But I understand why a lot of Juve fans would think, and the way last season ended slightly acrimoniously, and it was assumed, I would say, at the end of last season that he would have gone in the summer, even until probably the end of the window. There was always a chance. So I see why a lot of Juve fans would kind of see that celebration and think, hang on a minute, mate. You know, you've scored 2. Yeah. You've scored 2 goals. All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. However, similarly, I do agree that I don't think, if you look back, he's had a lot of poor performances for Juventus, and I think he lacks a lot as a striker. But saying that, his goal record's still pretty good.
It's very good.
It's not terrible by any means. So I do think, like I said, Cassano says things like this. We know
the
that.
same guy said, Ronaldo's overrated, Ronaldo's bad,
he's a
Ronaldo's horrible.
He's a waffler.
Like, when a man says that, I can't even take you seriously as a human. I wouldn't even go to you for life advice. I wouldn't even ask you what day of the week it is. So why are you talking about football? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, Cassano life advice is probably not something you'd say in the same sentence. Although, wonderful. He was actually one of my favourite players growing up. He was an absolute genius of a football player. Again, a bit like Balotelli, just didn't really have a brain off of the pitch. Like we mentioned before, we just need to, whatever Gattuso did yesterday or said to them, whatever he instilled in that team yesterday, we just need to see going forward. Yeah. And hopefully the goals come and the wins come. And then when we eventually play Norway, the result is in our favour.
That's what we need to do, man. We just need to pick up points on the board, close the gap, put pressure on Norway, because I think as good as the players Norway have, I don't think they've been in this position before where they're used to it. This is something that people really, I think, undervalue in these sort of things. The composure, the know-how in these sort of moments. Right now, we're chasing. And I think Norway is a nation, with all due respect, that haven't been there and done that. So I feel like they're going to feel the pressure. Of course, they have a great opportunity to qualify directly to the World Cup next year. Who wouldn't want to go straight there instead of doing a qualifying phase? But at the same time, we're chasing them down. We're hungry. We're motivated. We've got a new coach. It's a great start. As long as we put points on the board, I think they're going to feel the pressure. They might slip up on the way, as we said. Then we still got to play them in Italy. So all can happen, man. It's all to play for.
Yeah, and I think what I would add to that is that the performance last night, and again, it's only one performance. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But what I would say is that I now feel a lot better if we do end up going into a playoff. Under Spalletti, watching those games against Norway, Moldova, and even the games at the Euros last year, I was watching that and I was thinking, even if we come second and get into a playoff, if you come against a Wales or a Ukraine or a team, I didn't see that Spalletti team beating. Had no confidence whatsoever in him or the team.
Yeah, I genuinely had never been that hopeless. I think since like Ventura days, bro. Honestly, like we went into. No, I'm being serious, bro. I know it sounds crazy because Spalletti and Ventura are two like completely oxymoronic managers in terms of like two different ends of the spectrum, right? Spalletti's of course levels above Ventos, ring light man, bust him up. Anyway, like levels above Ventura, but I mean Euros, bro. Like we went to the games. We saw how hopeless we were. We went into every game thinking like this one's rough. We barely scraped through the group. Then all the qualifying games so far with Spalletti have been poor. I think all his squad selections, there's been big criticisms towards each one. He almost looked like he was lost at sea, and I think it was the perfect. I actually don't. I don't think it was the perfect time to get rid of him. I would have gotten rid of him straight away after the Euros, if I'm being completely honest. I would have personally. Look, this is pointless now. We've got Gattuso, who I'm happy with, but I would have tried to probably get an Ancelotti in earlier. My personal opinion. I think he would have been like a perfect Italian coach. But Spalletti should have gone for me after the Euros. Maybe he wouldn't be in this predicament right now. But look, man, there's no point talking about hypotheticals, if, buts, maybes. Right now, I think going into the last few games of the qualifying rounds, we're in a much better position. We're in a much more confident position. And this is the thing, bro. Football is all about confidence. When you look at the players that perform week in, week out, they're confident. Mm-hmm. They know they're the man. They know they're the guy. They're going to make the difference. And right now, the players for me are playing for the badge. They're playing for the fans. They're playing for the coach. Everyone seems a bit more united after that game, which is so, so key. And it's almost like when Mancini came in, it sort of reminds me in the sense that everyone was backing the manager.
Bounce.
Everyone was behind. Like
bounce.
We were. It was the manager bounce. We were so confident going into the Euros 2021. Nobody had us to win it, but us Italians felt, you know what, we could go the whole way. We could win this whole thing. And I'm not saying we're gonna win all our games, win the World Cup, of course. But qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah.
I'm more confident, let's say, after that game, seeing what Gattuso's done so far than I was before, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on it there. Actually, let's just talk about it quickly. Ancelotti. I think one of the biggest failures of the Italian FA was not sacking Spalletti and losing their chance to get Ancelotti, the greatest ever Italian manager, in charge of the national team.
100%. It's a disgrace that he's never coached a national team.
And what makes it worse is he's now coaching Brazil, one of Italy's international rivals.
That's the problem. He's at the Seleção.
And that is, they got rid of Spalletti for underperforming, but Gravina should not be in a job for allowing your greatest ever manager to let him go to another national federation. That is absolutely insane. Now, I'm not saying that Ancelotti would have come into this particular Italy side, because I think, if we look back at Ancelotti's career, he has done, where he's been successful, he has had the luxury of like really fantastic players, whether that be at Milan or Madrid.
Yeah, he's won everywhere. France, England with Chelsea, he's won even Napoli, Everton. He wasn't bad there, but he didn't win. But it was tougher jobs, of course.
And he doesn't have like a kind of stylistic approach. Ancelotti, he's very much like works with what he's got and adapts to certain games, and allows his players to have a lot of creative freedom, especially his forwards. He kind of says, do what you need to do as long as we're compact and we're solid. So I'm not sure it would have been, I'm not sure how Ancelotti would have done with this current Italy side. Nonetheless, I still think it's a massive failure that he will likely now never manage Italy, because I think he'll be 71 by the time the next World Cup's over.
Yeah, I think realistically,
or the World Cup
for the Seleção, he'll coach the next World Cup, probably a Copa America in there. Maybe probably retire after he's getting on a bit. So it's like you said, man, it is a big disgrace. It's like, I felt like the whole nation wanted Ancelotti as the man to replace Spalletti. Everyone wanted it, even like non-Italian football fans. It would have just been poetic. It's sort of like everyone wants to see Mourinho for the Portuguese national team, Pep for the Spanish national.
Exactly.
It's just like those managers are perfect for their country, if that makes sense, and the way they play. They epitomise what the nation is in terms of footballing ability, in terms of mode of play, in terms of everything. Bro. So, it's just, I don't know, it's a big shame, I feel.
Yeah, 100%. But again, like we said, we can't, it's been and gone now. Gattuso is now the man in charge. Yes. And we hope that he can now lead the rest of this campaign and get Italy to the World Cup.
Yep. And I think we've covered everything.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap from us, boys. As always, if you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. Like it. All the links will be in the description as well. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, the whole lot. And if you are on Spotify, make sure you leave a 5-star rating. It helps massively. It is free. So thank you, boys. That is a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me. And we will see you next time.